We began our series by looking at the transition into adolescence, and some of our content we are covering in these sessions is based on David Hutchins' book called Courageous Parenting, to which we have a copyright to use in Africa for training parents on how to raise their teenagers. In today's session, we'll be looking at how teenagers see the world. When a teenager looks at the world, what do they actually see? And how does what they see affect them? How does it affect their feelings and affect their actions? But just in case you're joining us today for the first time, I'll begin by giving a very brief review on how children grow up. Now, infants, babies, their biggest need is the need for trust. We mentioned that when a baby is born, they are very delicate. They are unable to walk, they are unable to talk, they are unable to do anything for themselves. They have to be helped to feed, they have to be helped to go to bed, and the parent has to learn what the different cries for the baby mean and respond to them appropriately. We saw how when the baby begins to grow into ages 3 to 6 or even ages 6 to 10, they have been potty trained, they are taking initiatives in doing their own thing, they follow the parent around the house like a shadow, and how some parents are irritated by this, but how in fact this is the way children learn. Children don't just learn when you teach them formally, they are learning by observation. Some of you will remember in your growing up years, all your mother had to do was to give you a look, and you understood what that look meant, even though no words were passed between the two of you. Children are learning all the time, as long as you are present and living life among them. And so the young child is taking initiatives. You try to brush their teeth, they don't want you to brush them because they want to brush them themselves. Then we talked about the teenage stage of life, and really I don't like the word teenager, because that only has significance in the English language. I would rather talk about your adolescent who is transitioning from childhood to adulthood. And this transition for some of them begins from age 9 and goes all the way to 21. You'll begin to see signs of transition from age 9, and one of the big things you'll notice is a search for identity. This child is wanting to become something. They want to do something with their lives. They want to become somebody. They don't really know who they want to become. And so one moment you meet them, they want to be a pilot. Another moment you meet them, they want to be a doctor. Another moment, they want to be a teacher. And the parent who doesn't know what's going on is frustrated by this teenager. They are asking them, come on, make up your mind. What do you want to become? And really, the teenager doesn't know what they want to become. Remember, your teenager has never been a teenager before. They are doing their best at being a teenager, and you just need to understand them and walk alongside with them. Just like your toddler had challenges walking, and you didn't rebuke them for falling, you held their hand and walked with them. Even so, your teenager is trying his best to be a teenager and doesn't quite know how. So the search for identity continues, and then as they transition into the young adult stage, and by young adult, I'm talking about ages 20 to 40, this is a stage of life where most people are searching for intimacy. This is a stage of life when those who get married, the majority of them get married at ages 20 to 40. It's a time when people are getting employed. It's a time when people are making a commitment to a mortgage company. It's a time when people are making a commitment to a landlord. And it's a time when people are settling down in career and are also settling down in parenting. Now, one of the things we mentioned in the introduction session is that if the search for identity does not find its fulfillment in the teenage stage of life, this search continues into the young adult. And it's not unusual to meet a 40-year-old who doesn't really know what they want to do with their lives. I'm not talking about some of you. Don't feel terrible about it, because some people get their identity much later in life. But you see, this is the stage when you're having children and career is also picking up. But then let's move to the middle adult stage, ages 40 to about 65. And most parents of teenagers are in this age group. Many of you listening to me who came to listen because you have teenagers would be in this age group. Of course, there'll be exceptions. In Kenya recently, we read in the newspaper about a 14-year-old girl who gave birth to triplets. Now, 14-year-old, when these triplets are 14, she'll just be 28. And so it is possible to have mothers of teenagers who are much younger than the age bracket of 40 to 65 that you're talking about. Now, in this age bracket, where we are calling them the middle adult, the person is very productive. They have a sense of purpose. They know where they are going. Work has a big demand on their lives. The children have a big demand on their lives. This person has teenagers, but most likely also has younger children. And the attention is moving to the younger children. The teenager has learned his way around his parents. They know what the parent wants. They know how to work hard in school. But here's the problem. The parent may be focusing on the productivity of the teenager from school and neglecting their character. And it's a potentially dangerous stage of life, because the parent is too busy. The parent is focusing on where they think the trouble is coming from, the younger child and the place of work, and the teenager can very easily fall between the cracks. Then we looked at the older adult, age 65 and above. This would be the age of most of your parents, if your parents are alive. My own father is 88 years old, and at the time of producing this video, I'm 59 years old. And my father looks back on life and he's pleased. There are some fathers at that age of life, or some mothers, who look back on life and they are very unhappy. You ask them about their children and their head drops, because one has left jail, another one is in drug rehabilitation, a third one is on their fourth marriage, and it's just a mess. And one of my motivation in giving these lectures is to help you realize that the journey of raising a teenager is a journey that requires hands-on parenting. You need to be present and available to your teenager. Do not delegate the relationships with your teenager to anybody else. You need to be present. You need to be available. You need to help this teenager in making decisions. They will act like they don't need you in their lives, but actually they do need you. They say they don't want you, but they actually do need you in their lives. And we need to be present in a big and meaningful way. And so this review was part of our first session, and I'm bringing it up because some of you joining us now who didn't get a chance to view the first session, I want to encourage you to go back to that first session that talks about transition into adolescence. And now I'm going to be moving into how teenagers see the world.